Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon. We have the pleasure of having one of our partners with us today, Altec. Dan and Mark will be joining us for the presentation. They are going to be presenting on minimize your manual processes and maximize your time. And as a reminder, we are recording this webinar and we will post it to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And you can find our library under our resources tab on our website at inovia.com. And we do encourage you to ask questions during our presentation. So please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will get them answered at the end of our session. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dan to kick off our presentation.
Thank you, Angie, and everyone, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Dan Derbarek. I am the Altec Sales Director for the Central Region, and that means that I am the one who is working with your Innovia customer account managers and your Innovia consultants. So if there are any, if there's any interest in DocLink after our presentation today, please be sure to follow up with your account manager or consultant. They will know how to get in touch with me so that we can assist you further. I'm also happy to have Mark Whitbeck with us this afternoon. Mark is a senior sales engineer at Altec. He has many years of experience with the DocLink product and knows all of the technical details of the product, and he will be taking us through a demonstration of some of the topics that I'm about to introduce you to. So with that, I will turn off my camera and get right into the agenda. We want to cover 4 main topics today. First of all, why consider going paperless with DocLink? Why consider using workflow automation and document management with DocLink? We then want to dive into 3 areas, 3 common areas where we have conversations with companies about going paperless, about using document management, workflow automation, those sorts of things. So we will start with accounts payable and go through some slides on accounts payable. After that, we will talk about contract management. And lastly, we will talk about sales order processing. Before we begin, I'd like to start with a brief poll. Angie, if you can offer the poll to everybody. I see it's open. Thank you. We'll take just a few seconds here to give everybody a chance to respond. We'd like to know, what are your biggest challenges? What are the reasons? What are you hoping to gain from our presentation today?
Don't be shy.
All right, I think we'll close the poll there. And I'll continue. Thank you, Angie. So I want to begin with, how does DocLink work? What is it and how does it work? DocLink is a product that allows you to connect your people, connect your processes, and connect all of your data together. We see on the left-hand side that the process begins by capturing or creating a document. DocLink is designed to capture documents from multiple sources. We can capture documents that you create right within your Dynamics ERP software. We can capture a PDF, perhaps, that may be attached to an email. We can capture other documents that you may have in a shared network folder. And again, we can capture the information through multiple methods. It might be a simple scan. You might be using our intelligent OCR or optical character recognition software. You may have a barcode on the document, and we can use the barcode to bring in the document and capture the data that's on it. You may be creating information in one of our smart forms that is provided by a module of DocLink. So there's many ways that we can bring documents and the data that they contain into the DocLink repository. You see the repository there in the middle. That's where we'll maintain all of the images of your documents along with that data that we use downstream for approvals and for searching and retrieving purposes. After the documents have been brought in, we can then process them. We can process them through a workflow if necessary. We can set up the workflow so that the documents are routed automatically. There may be multiple approvals, there may be only a single approval that's required. All of that can be pre-configured in the DocLink database and intelligently routed based on the document and the people who need to approve it. And when it is all done, we can then take that document. Let's say it's a vendor's invoice, as we're thinking about starting with the accounts payable side of the business. We could take a vendor's invoice and push all of that information directly into your Dynamics ERP software so that there's no additional data entry required. Once the documents are in the repository and things have been routed, transactions have been created in your Dynamics ERP software, we can deliver documents. We can deliver the documents to people internally who may need to see the documents for those approval processes, those approval purposes. But we can also take any of the documents that are in the repository and combine them and send those documents off to your vendors or to your customers as need be. And ultimately, all of that data, all of those documents are available for search and retrieval purposes. You can enter any of the information that you may know about a document. If it's a vendor's invoice number, you can enter their invoice number. If you know your own purchase order number, there's multiple ways that you could retrieve vendor invoices. And similarly, on the sales order side, you can retrieve sales order information based on a sales order, a customer's purchase order, an invoice number, whatever it might be. And all of this is done in a completely integrated, synchronized, two-way communication with your Dynamics ERP software. DocLink does integrate with the full family of Dynamics ERP programs. So no matter which version of the program you're running, we have a version of DocLink that integrates with it. And the beauty of DocLink is it provides uninterrupted and deep integration with all of the Dynamics products. But at the same time, it allows you, DocLink runs alongside of your Dynamics ERP software so that you can do additional document management workflows and retrievals by not even having to enter your ERP software. So it works with Dynamics, but then also alongside of Dynamics as well. With that, let's take a look at accounts payable in a little more detail. Many DocLink sales begin on the AP side of the business, and that is because there is a lot of paper in the accounts payable area of anybody's accounting office. You have the vendor invoices, you have purchase orders, you have packing slips, you have checks, you might have multiple packing slips and invoices for a single purchase order. There's just a lot of paper that flows through the accounts payable department. So why would you want to go paperless, and why would you think about automating accounts payable? There's many reasons. Certainly accessibility to documents. If you ever get a phone call from a vendor asking about a payment, you then need to walk to the filing cabinet, pull that invoice, pull the associated check, and provide that information to the vendor. And with that, you're hoping that that check, that invoice was properly filed so that you can find it quickly. And if it's a more historical document, it may be off-site in a banker's box. It may be in a banker's box on a pallet on the top rack in the back of your warehouse, someplace where it's not as easily retrieved as it would be in DocLink. We can also streamline your manual processes. There is a lot of friction that is associated with manual processes, things that slow them down. And with DocLink, we can automatically deliver documents to the people who need to approve them and streamline those processes to make your accounts payable process much more efficient. Part of that could be minimizing or even eliminating some data entry. And with all of the powerful search and retrieval capabilities, we can certainly make your audits much less painful than they are today. With DocLink, you are able to retrieve and view any document. We are able to process any document from anywhere, as long as you have an internet connection or a cell phone connection. We have the ability to process any document from anywhere in the world. The benefits are many. Just a few are shown here. We can eliminate paper in your office, and we have many customer testimonials regarding the reduction in approval times that they have realized. What used to take weeks has been certainly cut down to a matter of a few days or a couple of days, and in many cases it's down to a few hours. We have eliminated data entry for many, if not for most invoices and sales orders and things of that nature. We have customer testimonials where the cost savings, the elimination of the offsite storage, is enough to more than cover the expense of DocLink. There are other courier charges, personnel charges, just simple paper costs and copier costs and maintenance fees and those sorts of things. There's obviously a great deal of savings in time. And DocLink really is a strategic software product. We have, again, customer testimonials to that effect, that it's not just about taking advantage of automation to simplify the processes and speed up the processes and eliminate data entry, but it really is a strategic acquisition that has allowed customers to grow without the addition of personnel, or to take existing personnel, free up their time so that they can do things that are more productive and more profitable for the business. Taking a little closer look, I talked about onboarding our documents in the overview of DocLink. You certainly want to bring the documents in, and again, we can do it via a number of methods. One of the preferred methods, of course, is our AI-driven OCR software. You will train the software to understand your vendor's invoices, and over time, for many of those invoices, you will be able to eliminate the data entry. Along the way, we can also check for duplicate invoices and send everything off automatically into their approval process. The workflows, those approval processes are really very easily created. This is something that you as an end user can certainly learn to do and manage, so that as you expand the use of DocLink, you're able to create those workflows. You're not necessarily dependent upon a programmer or any third party to assist you with those. And ultimately, if you need two-way or three-way matching with our OCR product, you can certainly achieve a fully automated two-way or three-way match in accounts payable. Again, relieving a lot of time from the staff in accounts payable. One of our customers, you see, has achieved a great deal through their implementation of DocLink. They were drowning in paper. They needed to control project files. So along with the accounts payable information, they needed other things from the engineering department and from quality assurance. And with DocLink, they were able to bring all of it together so that they could retrieve it by project at any time. After implementing DocLink, they eliminated their paper. There was no more need to print, copy, scan, collate, fold, put in envelopes, walk down the hall, or anything else like that. All of that friction was eliminated. And in the end, they're able to better control their documents, make them more accessible to everybody, again, wherever they are in the world, and provide greater visibility to their management and seamlessly transition to a remote workforce. Let's switch now and just take an overview of the legal and contract management capabilities of DocLink. DocLink has a very, very strong security model. We are able to take any of your contracts and protect them while we manage them as well. All of those documents are able to be searched and retrieved. You will see in Mark's demonstration that we have full text search capabilities. So it is not necessarily tied to a contract date or a contract vendor or anything else like that. We can do full text search to retrieve a document. We have full version control so that you can always be sure that you are dealing with the most current version of the contract, but at the same time, you can see the full history of that contract. And we even offer the ability for you to have contract templates that you can use. If this is something that you do on a repeated basis, you can set up the templates and use them and manage them within DocLink as well. Just to talk about full text search for a moment, you see that we can select a company. If you have multiple companies within your Dynamics database, you can indicate the company or all companies that you want to search. You can indicate the contact, the document type that you want to search. In this case, we're just searching for contracts. And you can enter the search term. And after entering that information and clicking the search button, we will bring back to you all of the documents that contain the search term that you entered. I mentioned version control. Version control is very, very strong. Again, you can, if we look at this document on the top line, you see that we have the document there, but you can now check out that document. You can then edit that document in the native program. Maybe it's a Microsoft Word document, so you can open it up in Microsoft Word, take advantage of all of the editing tools in Word to edit your document. And then when you are done, it's a little grayed out here right below, you can check that document back in. And when you do bring that document in, you notice that you can add a comment to your revision so that as you, in the future, you or anyone else look at this document and you look at the version history of the document, you will see when the document was changed, by whom, and a comment about the change that was made. We also integrate with DocuSign. So if you have a need for digital signatures, we make that very easy for you as well. As a matter of fact, when you purchase DocLink, our CFO will countersign the agreement via DocuSign, and we will return a copy to you. And talk about sales order processing for a moment. We see here that according to APQC research, automation in the sales order side of the business, the customer service side of the business, saves between $5 to $15 per sales order and reduces the sales order cycle times by more than 46%. DocLink, again, can help you manage the full quote to cash sales order cycle. The quote may actually start with a request for a proposal or a request for quote, and that could be a document that you onboard to DocLink. From there, you can generate the quote, and if the quote needs approval, you can route your quote internally through the workflow, through the approval process. When the quote has been approved, you can deliver it to the customer, and you can deliver it with any other supporting documentation that may be required. Perhaps it's an engineering drawing or some other document that can be delivered to the customer. When their purchase order comes in, we can use our AI-driven OCR software to read their purchase order and automatically create the sales order for you. After the sales order has been created and it's time to deliver the acknowledgement, we can handle that. When you create the packing slip or the picking ticket, we can capture that and bring that into the repository. And when the product has been delivered and you have a signed proof of delivery document, you can scan that also and bring that into DocLink. That will generate an accounts receivable invoice that we can capture. And there may be collection letters, there may be monthly statements that need to go out to the customer. All of that can be captured by DocLink. And ultimately, when the customer pays, we can capture their payment information as well. So you can have a single bundle of the entire life cycle of an order. And most of it is handled automatically. So what are the benefits of automating your sales order process? We have the ability to reduce and in many cases, eliminate the data entry that you're currently doing in your Dynamics ERP software. We can control the approval cycle, as I just mentioned, and we can distribute accounts receivable invoices and any backup. So if you have customers who require a copy of the proof of delivery along with your invoice, we can automate that process for you. And this ultimately frees your customer service staff to do things, again, that are much more productive and more profitable for the company. An example of what we're talking about is an accounts receivable invoice with supplemental documentation. So here is just an illustration of an email that was created in DocLink, and it includes both the invoice and the customer's purchase order in an email back out to the customer. And the format of this email is completely controlled by you. Another case study from another DocLink customer, you see that they were able to achieve a 90% decrease in the time that they spent on AR invoicing. They were able to automatically route their invoices and supporting documents to their customers, and they achieved a 90% decrease, as I mentioned, and were able to grow their business without adding additional personnel in the accounts receivable department. And you see also at the bottom, they eliminated their physical storage, which again, savings that helped pay for their DocLink software. And that's savings every year. So now I'd like to have Angie open the poll again. And if you would take a few moments to indicate which of the three options that we've described so far is of most interest to you, we'd appreciate that.
Okay,
Okay,
Dan, we got 100% of accounts payable.
we got 100% on accounts payable. Okay. Well, we'll go through contract management and sales order processing in the demonstration portion here anyway. Maybe we'll get some additional interest there. Thank you, Angie. And now what I'd like to do is turn the presentation over to Mark. Mark has captured a number of screens and put in illustrations for us so that we will be able to see how DocLink works and see how it works along with your Dynamics ERP software. So Mark, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll just walk through this. So Dan, if you don't mind going to the next slide for me, that'd be great. Where we really want to start is the being able to minimize your manual processes, and that when we think about documents and the document lifecycle, it really starts with the actual digitization of that. On screen here, you see a couple of documents on the far left-hand side. This is DocLink Smart Capture OCR. Think of this as the documents and the data that you no longer have to enter manually into your ERP. So from the very first time we see this document, it may be via email, maybe a piece of paper that gets scanned in to a scanner or a multifunction device. DocLink's going to take all those locations, it's going to funnel them into one place. It's going to do other stuff with them. It's going to pull apart documents. If you had situations where you have multiple invoices in one PDF, maybe those got scanned in upside down, so it's going to auto rotate them up. And it's going to identify them as an invoice versus something else. We want to take in the stuff we care about and throw away the stuff that we don't care about, right? It makes sense. Then that leads us here. So every piece of data on the screen may be useful for us, right? The vendor remit to line, then it goes back and validates a vendor name or codes. We're going to pull back specific unique invoice data on screen. That's what you see in the middle section there. What you can do from this is a lot of stuff. We can do matching. You can vendor validate data, do some calculations based on the data there, see if the purchase order is a valid one in the system. Again, this is stuff that we don't have to do manually, and if we don't have to do that, we can make things more accurate, more streamlined to alleviate users to be able to do something else that's a little bit more value add. All right, as we move on here, once that data gets through the system and we extract it, then we're going to do something else with it. In the DocLink world, we call this a workflow process. So document moves from point A to point B to point C. Just a simple example may be a document moves to an individual person based on their delegation of authority. What are their limits to be able to approve that document? Maybe between 0 and 500 goes to someone, and anything beyond 500 goes to someone else. So DocLink grabs all that information, it analyzes it, and then it sends a document with an email that's auto-generated to that person. DocLink allows for approval via the application, through the mobile app, if you're out in the field, or just via email. So what you see on screen here is that document getting attached, and then the approver, being the CFO in this case, says, great, I can just approve or deny directly from email. Really quick, simple process to make that document streamline all the way through without them really ever having to log in. And the bottlenecks go away. We're not waiting for someone to look at pieces of paper on their desk or wait for an email that gets buried. It comes in, it notifies that user, and it will keep notifying that user, letting them know that, hey, you have something ready for approval. Then what happens next is that document will go through another process where DocLink is taking that information and it pushes into your ERP system. Whether that's really anything in the Dynamics suite. On screen, we see Dynamics 365 Business Central, BC. DocLink has taken all that data. It said, yep, it's approved, it's ready for import. DocLink then shuffles that data right into the ERP with no manual intervention. So we're creating that purchase invoice transaction behind the scenes without any manual data entry. Then what DocLink does is, because we've created a natural connection between the two, whenever you click on the View Docs button, you can see in the left-hand side, circled in blue, DocLink will recall the documents related to that. In this case, it's based on the vendor invoice number and the vendor ID. Those two pieces of data uniquely identify that document. That allows DocLink to then one-click recall the document. So if you're processing a bunch of invoices, BC, you go and click on post to actually post those transactions. You want to do a double check and make sure everything is accurate. So the View Docs button is really handy in that case. You don't have to go back into a separate system, find every transaction, and then get the documents. Maybe they're attached. You just one-click it, recall it, DocLink finds it. That's pretty much the whole process. As we move on to contract management, we can go further and deeper into other aspects of DocLink for the functionality. On screen here, we're using what's called full text search. So a contract is a great example for this, where maybe there's no unique identifying property on that document to find, retrieve, or search that contract at hand. But instead, we want to be able to find that document using full text search, which is basically scanning the entire document from top to bottom and looking for keywords, just in the same way that Google goes on the internet to find web pages based on key searches that we use in their search engine. This is the same thing, but with your document. So it's document search engine. Search the term, select the document that you want, and DocLink will return hits based on that criteria. It could be a word, it could be a phrase, any large or small word works, and you can separate them by operators. So maybe find the word agreement and another word, and all those words have to match. Well, DocLink will find everything for you. So in this example, we found 4 results with the word agreement, and any number of those words can be found by doing the exact same thing in our search terms there. Other functionality that Dan hit on might include version control. So a great example, again, a contract, maybe we need to do some redlining before we send to the counterparty for signature. We can use the original version, that template of that contract. We may want to change something in the terms. We upload it back into DocLink as a new version and notify someone else, hey, we made some changes to this contract, so then we can send it out. DocLink maintains every single one of those versions, from version 1 all the way to the latest, when it was checked in, by whom, and then those changes that were made. At any point, you can go back and you can look at the original document. Everything is in line in that same document, so you can still find it, search it, retrieve it, and all the different changes that were made over time. You're going to do approvals of those documents within here. The sky's the limit. And then kind of moving forward, as we kind of just highlighted, there's the ability to do a DocuSign integration. This is really simple. When the document is ready for counterparty signature, the document goes out via email. Person gets something like this that says, hey, let's review the document. Everyone's probably used DocuSign at some point, so the mechanism is very easy. Go through to do a signature, date, initials, and then that document, when it's done, it brings it back into DocLink, locks it down as an uneditable PDF, and attaches the DocuSign envelope ID to it. That lives in DocLink, and we can use that as that lockdown contract going forward. All right, so last little bit of demonstration here, sales order processing. As we walk through this, this is as Dan kind of highlighted to begin with, but I wanted to start with kind of going back to the beginning. What if we used OCR again for the sales order processing? What might that look like? Well, at the end of the day, it's a document. A document is a document is a document in DocLink, and on the left-hand side, we see all the images coming in. These may be customer POs being as requests from your customers. could be a sales order. And DocLink is going to look at all the data on screen. It's going to do other stuff like parse out the ship to address to do the addressee line, city, state, and zip code, grab all the line item details, and then actually pull that data into Dynamics to create the sales order transaction for you. So again, having to not manually data enter this stuff is going to save a massive amount of time. It's going to keep that data accurate, validate the customer information, and create orders quicker for you. What can happen next is basically taking that order and entering it into the ERP. In this case, we have Dynamics GP, where we want to create sales orders transactions. DocLink takes the data from that sales order or the customer PO rather, and it enters it into the sales order transaction. Then from the sales order transaction, we can click on the additional button at the top there, and then grab the sales order, capture that into the system, and then link back into DocLink to say, let's recall that document and then view it. So now we have the order as part of that document lifecycle. As we go to the next step, we can then jump forward for me, Dan. So what happens next? You may have a order fulfillment. So that may be picking, packing, and ship of that document, or the goods being sent out to your customers. We can read a barcode, and that gets captured into the system pretty much instantaneously. At the end of all this, the goods get delivered, and you want to bill your customers. So what happens next? Customer invoice, right? Capture that same invoice just like we did every other document. DocLink bundles everything together into one email and sends it to your customer. That means you don't have to manually attach documents one after another into an email and create it yourself. DocLink will build that document for you along with the email, the template, everything that needs to be attached, and it will send it automatically to the customer based on an email on file. This just saves a massive amount of time, right? When you're doing your billings, it's not as simple as one customer here and there. You may be dealing with hundreds, and to send a manual email to each one of those is extremely time consuming. DocLink packages up, sends it automatically, pretty much behind the scenes without any manual intervention whatsoever. So there's 3 different examples of where DocLink is great at what I like to call document lifecycle. I don't like to use the word document management. It gives, a filing cabinet is your document management, but DocLink is your kind of your automated document lifecycle mechanism. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate that, and I'll hand it back over to Dan.
All right, thank you, Mark. We have just a few more things to go through here very quickly. Again, kind of a review of the sales order automation. We have the ability through the integration. We have the ability to capture the customer's purchase order and automatically create a sales order. From there, we can take quotes or order acknowledgments and associated documents, email them back out to customers. We can send signed pick tickets or delivery tickets, those sorts of things as well. We can deliver invoices and again, include supplemental documents with the invoice to prove delivery or provide the additional information to make it easy for your customers to pay you. All of this is fully integrated with your Dynamics ERP and makes the retrieval of documents very, very easy. We can even assist with things like aging notices, as I mentioned, collection letters, statements, monthly statements, and those sorts of things. So DocLink, while many customers, all of you indicated that you're most interested in accounts payable, there is really very powerful integration and very powerful, compelling reasons to use DocLink on the sales order side of the business as well. So just to try to wrap up here quickly, DocLink is a document management, or as Mark said, a document lifecycle tool. It's also very useful for business process automation, and it's good for business process automation and document capture, literally for every department of every company. DocLink is not a siloed application, unlike other applications that may do only accounts payable automation. DocLink is something that can be used across the entire enterprise. And the nice thing about it is, after you make the initial acquisition of DocLink, you can expand its use and it doesn't cost you any more. DocLink will allow you to streamline your processes, eliminate data entry, provide quick and easy access to your documents. Again, any document, any process, anywhere. And though we have only presented a few cases, a few uses of DocLink in the presentation today, you see that we can use DocLink everywhere. We can use it for field service. I've had conversations with customers about using it in engineering and through the interaction between engineering and purchasing. So there's many applications for DocLink. And I encourage you to think of all of the different places where you may be able to use DocLink. Other differentiators, I've already mentioned, it is an enterprise-wide solution. It goes well beyond the accounts payable department. Mark and I have both talked about our AI-driven OCR capabilities, and with that, you are able to achieve a completely automated two-way or three-way match. We have user-definable, user-configurable workflows and automation rules. This is all part of the training that you receive during your initial implementation of DocLink. We can support your remote workforce, your hybrid workforce. Perhaps you're still in a hybrid model. But again, regardless, wherever anybody is in the world, as long as they have a browser and an internet connection, or a tablet or a cell phone with a cell phone signal and the DocLink mobile application, you're able to manage your documents and manage your processes literally from anywhere in the world. We offer electronic smart forms that customers are using frequently for expense reports, credit card reconciliations, vacation requests, any number of different forms. If any form that you have in your company, it may be a fillable PDF, it may be a form that you've designed in Microsoft Word or Excel. We could potentially replace those forms with a DocLink smart form that allows them to fill them out online and then automatically process it through any approval that needs to happen after it is entered. And we also offer 3 different licensing models. We have the traditional perpetual license, but we also offer DocLink on a subscription basis, and we also have our own DocLink cloud. So as you think about DocLink, as you think about this presentation and how you may use DocLink, it's important to really think about DocLink as a strategic acquisition. Yes, we are going to automate your accounts payable process. We're going to remove that friction. We all need to have our steps every day, but instead of taking our steps down the hallway to deliver an invoice to somebody for their signature, we can go outside and enjoy hopefully some nice weather and get our steps in that way. DocLink is an application, as I mentioned, that will grow and scale as you need it to. If you only used it in accounts payable, as your business grows and you have more vendors and you have more invoices, DocLink will grow with your accounts payable department. But if you expand DocLink into other departments, as your company grows, as you acquire more customers and you have a higher volume of sales orders, DocLink will scale and grow with you. You should consider not only the hard costs, things like the elimination of offsite storage as a contributing factor, but consider the soft costs as well. Consider people's time. How much time does it take for manual data entry? And how much of that time could be saved through DocLink and our AI-driven OCR? All of these are significant savings that our customers have realized to help them cost justify their DocLink acquisition, cost justify it year after year, and really view DocLink as that strategic acquisition. And you think about all of your processes through all of your departments, and how may they contribute to the DocLink cost justification and ROI. So with that, Angie, we have one more poll. So if you would open that up, we'll give everybody a few seconds to read the prompts and respond. Hopefully we have everybody answering letter D. All right, thank you.
It was the first one.
It was the first one.
Yes, reduce processing time.
Okay. All right, thank you. So with that, we've reached the conclusion of our formal presentation. So Angie, if anybody entered any questions in the chat window of GoToWebinar, I'll be happy to answer any questions that there may be.
Yes, we do have some questions for you. The first one is, does it support a two-person approval process, and does the approval have to happen before being imported to AP?
Well, the DocLink will support any number of levels of approval. So we can certainly handle two. We can handle more than two if that is required on a given document. And does it have to be completely approved before it is moved into Dynamics? Not necessarily. We could import it into Dynamics at any time. That is really dependent upon the business rules that you set up within your DocLink database.
Okay, thank you. And does an approver have to have the software to approve? Like a volunteer board member who does not have access to our systems, would they still be able to approve?
The answer is certainly yes. As Mark showed in his illustrations, we can send an email to this outside board member along with a copy of the document as a PDF, so that they can open the document, they can review it, and right from the email, they would be able to provide their approval. Or if they had additional questions, they would be able to enter notes into an information box and return that back to DocLink so that the questions are answered and the document is redelivered via email for final approval before it gets passed to the next step. So no, they don't necessarily have to have DocLink installed on their home laptop, or they don't necessarily have to have DocLink mobile on their cell phone. They could do it simply via email.
Okay, thank you. And how do you handle approvals for vendors that go to multiple locations and have multiple approvers?
Approvals for, repeat that, please.
How do you handle approvals for vendors that go to multiple locations and they also have multiple approvers?
Okay. Again, this is something that would be set up within the workflow and the business rules as you're working through the implementation with our professional services group. They will make sure that all of those situations are completely covered, covered and tested, so that when you do receive one of those invoices, it is routed to the appropriate locations and to the appropriate people for approval before it's further processed.
Okay, thank you. And can I acquire DocLink on-prem, cloud, hosted? I'm sorry. How can I acquire DocLink? And I believe you covered it all, on-prem, cloud, and cloud-hosted provider, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So DocLink can be installed on-premise. You could have an on-premise Dynamics installation with DocLink in our DocLink cloud, or you could have your own hosted cloud, your private cloud, and DocLink could be installed in your private cloud. It could still be used from the DocLink cloud. So all of those different combinations with any of our license types really are available.
Okay, thank you. And last question for you.
Okay.
If our accounting software is on-premise, could DocLink be hosted on the cloud? And there's another half to this.
Okay.
Or if on-premise accounting software, should DocLink be on-premise as well?
Okay, so if you have an on-premise installation of your ERP software, you can certainly have DocLink in the cloud. We will configure everything so that there is communication between your Dynamics database and DocLink in the cloud, and you should not recognize any performance issues at all. However, there is the option, if you wanted, you could install DocLink on-premise with your on-premise Dynamics ERP software.
Okay, great. I believe those are all the questions that we have for you guys today. Thank you for everyone who has joined us. And if you're joining us on demand, thank you for taking the time out to watch us. Thank you, Dan and Mark, for the presentation. It was very well informative.
And thank you, Angie. We appreciate it. And we look forward to working on many more DocLink opportunities with everyone at Innovia. We certainly value your partnership and your support, and we look forward to working with you again.
All right, thank you. And you can check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. We also have our training workshop page up, innovia.com/workshops. We have a variety of workshops that fit your role, so check out the ones that are right for you and your team. And if you have not heard our latest Innovia Conversation podcast, we have a library of episodes for you to listen to. You can learn more on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So browse through that selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when those new episodes air. And we have our customer conference coming up in May in Scottsdale, Arizona. You can learn more on our conference page at innovia.com/conferences. The Innovia Customer Conference is a free event for you to attend. So check out that conference page to learn more and to register for our event. And you can also register for Dynamics Con Live. Both conferences are back-to-back at the same venue starting on May 21st. So register now so you don't miss out on those two great events. All right, well, we thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you again, Dan and Mark, for the presentation, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Innovia webinar. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.